Hey, this is Ilona Sanders. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Success TV, where we are shining the light, helping you to create a clear path forward. I want to take a few minutes today and talk to you about the power of change. The power of change. The songwriter penned the song, "Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. The young become the old and mysteries do unfold. That's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged." When we start looking at change and talking about the power of change, I know that you are feeling it, you're sensing it, you're seeing it all around you. Even in these United States where we live, we are in massive change. We are seeing and experiencing things that we've never experienced before. In our government, in the political sector, in the educational and entertainment sector, everything is changing and moving and evolving. Now, what I want to talk to you about the power of change is because we are afraid of the unknown. And I want to encourage you not to be afraid of the unknown in your life. I want to be your partner. I want to just grab you by the hand, and I want to help to guide you into forward motion in your life so that you are no longer afraid of the unknown, but rather I want all of us to get excited about the unknown. Now, if you've lived just for a little while, and I'm speaking to baby boomers, and Generation Xers and even millennials, if you lived a little while, you've noticed that your life is changing. And for me personally, I can recall around 2006 specifically, this was my first inkling of something. It felt like something breaking in on me. And all of a sudden, I began to see everything that I worked for and worked toward, I saw it being, number one, it was being celebrated. It was being celebrated in a unique way, even with family members and everything. Who I was and what I represented was being celebrated. But it was subtle only because it was an inward thing. It was not showing up on the outside yet. It was an inward thing. But it was undeniable something was going on with me that I couldn't quite understand, right? But I knew something shifted. It's almost as if overnight I woke up in another timeline, in another dimension. And from that point on, things began to consistently change for me. And then from 2006, it seems as though I started not having interest in things I had been interested in my entire adult life, especially as it pertained to my calling, to my gift, to my career, to my ministry, right? And then in 2010, I birthed out the whole Spiritual Success Movement, which was my coaching business and the schools that I created. And then from 2010, there was another distinct shift between 2010, 2011, that I noticed that I'm evolving and I'm starting to look at things and question things and having to determine things for myself. I had to make a decision for myself and start examining my belief system. I had to start looking at, what do you believe for real? What do you believe versus what are you believing because your environment, your group, your association says this is what we believe. I had to start looking at what was right for me and what was not right for me, what was no longer serving me, and boy, was it a lot. Then 2012, there was a real particular big shift. So in 2011, things were starting to go through my mind. Tapes are playing in my mind. I'm starting to look at my life. I'm starting to run through everything. And I remember around 2011, I knew that it was time to release the pastoral portion of my ministry. But I wasn't ready. See, I was stuck in what we're talking about today. I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of change because I had done that for 22, really more than that was just 22 years here in Ohio, not accounting the 10 years or so in New York, right? But I felt it was time to release that. And so all of these things are beginning to happen and beginning to move. And from 2012, I never did go back. I started moving forward. Now, something unique happened to me in 2012. I believe it was that year that for some reason, and my background is Christian background, you know, Pentecostal, apostolic, whatever. And that was my background. And so for about 2 months, I was not comfortable talking about Jesus, hearing the name Jesus. I didn't want to have nothing to do with Jesus. I want you to go with me. I let that go on for a couple of months, 2, maybe 3 months. And then finally, as we all have to do when we're trying to figure things out and we're trying to work things out, you know, I had to settle down. I had to turn myself inward and find out, what is this hand up about? What is this stop about? What is it? I don't want to hear this. So when I began to turn inwardly and I got in my room and I got to myself, and you know how we do, and we, you know, prepare our areas, and I laid the palette out, I said, okay, God, what's going on? I was okay with God. I was super okay with the Holy Spirit, you know, because that's my inner guidance. That's my friend. That's the Spirit, the voice of God within. But Jesus, I didn't want nothing to do with that. So when I finally turned my focus inward and began to tap in to find out, what is this about? Why I don't want to have nothing to do with Jesus? And what I began to find out, and what came up for me so clearly in that moment, is that the background, my Christian background in the Pentecostal Apostolic Church, this is not a downplay. This is not to talk down. I'm simply telling you what my experience was, all right? So in my experience in that Christian genre, there was a lot of baggage connected to Jesus of the Bible, and quite frankly, even God of the Bible. But there was so much baggage that I had worked through coming up, you know, that was attached to the Jesus of the Bible. And so what I distinctly knew in my spirit is that I had to go get a fresh Bible, one that wasn't already marked up, and start going through there and be introduced to the real Jesus. Be introduced to the real message, the real essence, the real purpose of what Jesus Christ came in this earth realm to deliver. And when I began to do that, I began to see things so much differently, so much clearer. So now fast forward from 2012 to 2016, I knew I had to release that traditional, well, I was never traditional. Anybody that knew me, that came in my environment, we were not a traditional religious church. We were not. But I knew I had to release that and let that go. And it took me 5 years, because the real break came in 2011, where I knew I needed to release that, but I wasn't ready. Fast forward to January 2016, I released it. And I spent the last 2.5 years going through, almost 3 years now, going through major transformation that I'm so happy and I'm so excited about. But that 2 years, that 3 years from 2016 to here it is coming up 2019, I was in a place of isolation. I was in a place of releasing and offloading a lot of ideologies and beliefs and idiosyncrasies that I grew up with. It was time to release it. And it was scary because now I'm in this unknown place. And everything that I grew up with, everything that I'm familiar with, now that's no longer part of my life. It's like everything was stripped away. But what was I getting? Fresh downloads, fresh downloads, my insight and my prophetic abilities were opening up, and I was understanding things and seeing things in such a way that I'm excited about where we're going now. So I said all that to say this. You have to embrace change because everything is changing. As this whole planet is moving and evolving and shifting and coming out of one era, going into another era, everything is changing. Everything is looking different. So if you're in a place where you are facing change and you're being called to great change, and there are a lot of things that no longer serve you, it doesn't fit who you are, and another version of you is emerging, I want you to embrace that. I want you to trust that because you are being divinely guided. You're being divinely supported. And I want you to trust that there is divine provision for you. You just have to allow yourself to divinely align with your true purpose and your true calling for where it is today. And if this is for you, and if this resonates for you, let me know. And if there's something that I said or a question that you have that you need more clarity on, leave a comment down in the description below, and we will do that. If you want me to make a video, talking more about how to release, mindsets and belief patterns that no longer serve you, I'll do that as well. All right. Have a blessed, wonderful, and amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you on another Spiritual Success episode. Bye-bye.